Stress. Okay, now I know a lot of people play tabletop games in order to get away from stress, but here we are bringing the stress right back to you at the tabletop, so you're going to be faced with it again. So, alright. So, stress. Characters in Tales of Xadia must often endure great hardships or suffer through perilous situations in order to triumph. We represent these personal obstacles with stress dice, which are rated from D6 to D12. Your PC acquires stress dice through play. Track your stress dice on your character journal. Stress dice are added to your opponent's pool whenever it might make things harder for you, so they're like the opposite of assets. You can recover stress dice when your character has time to rest, recuperate, or gain the benefits of medicine. By spending a plot point, you can also step down one of your stress dice when the narrator rolls an opportunity. Okay, that's important. As we talked about the difference between the hitches and the opportunities or something like that. By spending a power point, you may also step down one of your stress dice when the narrator rolls an opportunity. That represents shaking it off, taking a breath, or realizing that it wasn't as bad as you thought. Stress dice that are stepped down to D4 are removed from your character journal. Types of stress. Stress dice come in 6 different types. Okay, that's interesting because I was thinking about fate here, and we had physical stress and then also mental stress. So we've got 6 different types of stress here. Stress dice come in 6 different types. Your character might be affected by 1 or more types of stress, but only 1 stress die can be added to your opposition in any given roll. Okay, that's important too. So no matter how much you got, you only have to have 1 added to your opponent's roll. If you take more stress of a given type, it steps up the die rather than adding another die of the same type. When any of your stress die reaches 12 and will be stepped up again, you are stressed out. Okay. All right, afraid. This is the stress of fear and panic. Once this exceeds 12, you are gripped in the clutches of terror. Angry. This is the stress of rage and frustration. Once this exceeds D12, you are lost to your wrath. Anxious. This is the stress of apprehension and worry. Once this exceeds 12, you succumb to anxiety. Corrupted. This is the stress of dark magic. Once this exceeds D12, you are consumed with darkness. Exhausted. This is the stress of fatigue and weariness. Once this exceeds D12, you can no longer remain awake. Injured. This is the stress of pain and wounding. Once this exceeds D12, you collapse unconscious and may die. Well, I like this. I like this. Afraid, angry, anxious, corrupted, exhausted, and injured. Different ways for bad things to happen to your character, 2 of which are mainly, well, like magic maybe. But, injured is definitely combat. Exhausted, traveling around, probably fighting. Afraid, that could be combat, but it could be other situations as well. Angry, definitely social situations. Anxious, definitely social situations. Corrupted, all kinds of situations. I'm liking this. At the start of the first session, Rayla has no stress dice. However, there are places on the character journal for her stress dice to be recorded. During a particularly dangerous battle, such as the first attack on the castle of Catalyst, Rayla might acquire angry, exhausted, or injured stress. Okay. A note about magical ability. Unlike the other creatures of Xadia, humans aren't inherently magical. A rare human mage like Claudia may learn limited primal magic, but it's difficult and requires much study and the use of a primal stone or powerful artifact tied to a primal source. This journey should take more than 1 tale. Human mages like Callum, who can't channel primal magic without a stone, are extremely rare. Human mages like Callum, who can channel primal magic without a stone, are so extremely rare that human PCs can't learn magic this way. It's easier for a human to become a dark mage, learning dark magic that drains magical essence of other creatures and warps the mage's soul and appearance over time. This difficult, dangerous, and frankly evil path repulses most humans and is condemned by all creatures in Xadia, so dark mages are relatively rare. Many elves are rune mages, channeling a primal source through runes they can draw in the air. Elves are predisposed to learn the primal magic associated with their people, though the arcanum of the primal, their innate connection to a primal source. Elves who haven't studied rune magic can do some minor magic using their inherent primal connection. Elves revile dark magic and avoid it at all costs. Magical ability is represented in the game by a combination of distinctions, specialties, and assets. Makes sense. Magic may manifest in different ways, so however the magic is manifesting is a distinction, is a specialty, or an asset. To play a character who uses magic from the primal sources or dark magic, choose one of your distinctions, usually your vocation, to be magical distinction, representing your affinity with magic or your training. Then make sure you have at least one magical specialty that further defines your magical talents. If you're playing a dark mage, or you want to expand your elven mage's power, you must choose an asset that represents your focus or magical tool, such as a staff or an amulet. Creating magical effects has its own set of rules, but usually you can't even attempt them without having these magical-themed traits to include in your dice pool. Examples of magical distinctions. Okay, Dark Magic Apprentice, Skywing Sage, Acolyte of the Sun. Examples of magical specialties. Dark Magic, Sky Magic, Sun Magic, Moon Magic, Earth Magic. Examples of magical focuses: Tremor Staff, Lunar Rod, Amulet of the Winds, Sun-Blessed Bracers. Rayla isn't a mage, but is a Moonshadow elf. She's attuned to moon magic. Her Moonshadow form special effect is an example of her using magic without being a rune mage like Callum or a dark mage like Claudia. Dark magic and some malign spiritual forces can taint the mind and body of living things. We reflect this with corrupted stress. Using dark magic can inflict this type of stress on you, and even though it's possible to embrace it and use it to enhance your own spells, it can consume you if you don't find a way to get rid of it. Assets. Elven Butterfly Blades. Oh, this is the asset that Rayla's got, her weapons. Rayla's twin weapons are both deadly and versatile, capable of transforming between lethal blades and curved hooks. While a sharp blade is always useful in a fight, a surprise hook to the legs can catch an opponent off guard. No special effects yet unlocked. Playing the game. This section tells you how to play your character and determine how they interact with the world of Xadia using the Cortex game system. It covers tests, contests, and challenges, as well as how to roll and read your dice, spend your plot points, and track the outcomes of your decisions. All right. Got Claudia here. Your dice pool. Anytime you're called to roll for a test, contest, or challenge, you assemble a dice pool out of the following traits. One attribute die, that was required. One value die, that was also required. And also required one distinction die. One specialty die, if applicable. One or more asset dice, if applicable. One of your opponent's stress dice, if applicable. Extra die from your special effects, if applicable. The dice pool represents all the things that contribute to your success. Attributes from your physical or mental talents, values from what motivates you to succeed, distinctions for what makes you who you are, and so on. There's no maximum number of dice in a pool, but generally the pool includes anywhere from 3 to 6 dice. I think this is definitely the evolution of modern role-playing. Rather than having all of these different things, have +1, +2, +3, +4, and having to total all of this stuff, having the visual representation on the character journal, as they're calling it, the dice, grab the dice, shake them up. Insofar as people consider rolling dice fun, and that's a part of role-playing, then we're rolling more dice. So I like the way this is going. So rolling dice. Whenever you roll dice, you want to get a higher total than your opposition. This is the core principle of the Tales of Xadia Cortex games. The key difference between tests, contests, and challenges is who rolls the dice first. When you roll 2 or more dice, you choose 2 dice results and add together your total, and a third die to use as the effect die. If you're rolling 1 die, your total is equal to the result of the die. Okay, if you don't have a third die, your effect die starts at D4. Your effect die indicates how well your efforts did beyond a simple pass or fail. When you pick a die to use as the effect die, the number it rolled doesn't matter, just the size of the die. Okay, that's interesting. Because I was going to say, well, I guess you would use the highest number rolled. But if the number doesn't matter, then you're just looking at the size of the die, which means if your large die was used in order to pass the number that you need to pass in order to succeed, then it's not going to be available for use as your effect die. I see. After rolling dice, leave them on the table in view of everyone. Only pick up the dice once a test, contest, or challenge has been resolved. The narrator does not hide dice from the players. All rolls are done in the open. When you or the narrator roll to oppose someone else, you're putting together an opposition pool. For tests and challenges, the opposition pool is assembled by the narrator and is rolled first, so you know what total you have to beat. For contests, however, the opposition pool comes after you've already rolled your own die, and in that case, the roll needs to beat what you've rolled. Okay, so you are free to choose any 2 dice from your total. You don't need to choose the 2 highest rolling dice. You may want to save a die with more sides for your effect die, as I was just talking about, even if it was the highest result. Likewise, the narrator may decide to let the dice fall where they may and always keep the 2 highest rolling dice, or go easy on you and keep a smaller total. That's totally up to the person rolling the dice. You and the other players make decisions for the group in response to the challenging situations the narrator presents. Not every decision needs to lead to dice. Unless the outcome of a roll, success or failure would be interesting or move the story along, or unless there's something keeping you from doing what you want to do, then don't bother picking up the dice. Standard role-playing stuff today. If a particular outcome is guaranteed to happen, describing what goes on. Okay. Heroic success. If you beat the difficulty by 5 or more on a test, you've got a heroic success. You not only get what you want, your roll proves unexpected beneficial results. If your opponent loses by 5 or more in a contest, you get a heroic success, and you are the clear victor. As with any success, the narrator should ask you to describe your amazing efforts, but that's just icing on the cake. There's an added benefit as well. The effect die, see the following section, is stepped up by 1 for every 5 points you beat the difficulty by. Okay, let's look at the effect dice in more detail here. The effect die is chosen from the dice pool after the dice used for the total are taken out and added together. The effect die is used for things like overcoming challenge dice or inflicting stress dice on others. Only the size of the effect die, number of sides, matters. The result rolled on the effect die has no further use in the roll. We differentiate the dice results by the color of the outline and interior. Gray for unchosen dice results, green interior for effect die, and black for hitches. Blue, hitches are counted as a 0. Blue interior denotes die type, and a blue outline shows die results in the total. Okay, so if you roll this, total of dice, effect die D4, because there's no additional die. If we roll this right here, we've got 1 hitch right here. We totaled, 17 with 11 and 6. And then sent the D10 over to the effect dice. Okay, so here with 13, it looks like the 6 and the 7 were used to produce the 13. The D12 was sent to the effect die, and everything else wasn't used. Okay, ineligible dice. Any die that comes up as a hitch can't be used as an effect die. If you spend plot points to move more dice to a total beyond the first 2, those dice can't also be used as effect dice. Wait, let me read that again. If you spend plot points to add more dice to a total beyond the first 2, those dice can't also be used as effect dice. Okay, I got you. Anything you're using to go over the result can't be used as an effect. If there are no dice left in the pool once that total is determined, or the remaining dice and hitches are otherwise spoken for, the effect die is always a D4. Effect dice in opposition. When rolling dice for tests, I can feel where we're going with the effect dice, and I like it. I really want to be able to narrate things like this. I'm looking forward to getting to it. Okay, so with the effect dice in opposition. When rolling dice for tests, the effect die can give you an idea of how well you did in the test. A D12 effect die means the test had a mind-blowing outcome, where a D4 means it was barely successful. If you failed the test, the narrator might give you a stress die equal to the opposition pool's effect die, but if you succeed, the opposition's effect die doesn't matter. Okay? When rolling dice for tests, the effect die can give you an idea of how well you did in the test. A D12 effect die means the test had a mind-blowing outcome, where a D4 means it was barely successful. If you failed the test, the narrator might give you a stress die equal to the opposition pool's effect die, but if you succeed, the opposition's effect die doesn't matter. Gotcha. When rolling dice for contests or challenges, the effect die is more important. If you win a contest, you compare your effect die against the opposition's effect die from the roll they just made trying to beat you. If your opponent's effect die is bigger than yours, the effect die is stepped down by 1 before you use it for a stress die. If it's equal to or less than yours, it doesn't matter. If you win a dice roll in a challenge, the effect die lets you know if you can reduce the challenge pool by a whole die or just step down one of the dice in the pool. I'm not clear on all of that yet. Effect dice and automatic outcomes. When a test, contest, or challenge isn't opposed and you need an effect die, use the largest die in the difficulty pool for a test or the initiating dice pool for a contest. Most of the time, however, you won't need an effect die if no test, challenge, or contest is rolled. Adding extra effect dice. You can spend a plot point to keep an additional effect die. This is most often used to represent doing more than one thing at a time with a single roll. Additional effect dice can be used for different things, such as inflicting other types of stress or creating assets. I'm going to stop right there for this video, but in the next one, we'll come right back with tests, contests, and challenges. In the meantime, if you've enjoyed this video, please check out the playlists on my YouTube channel. I've got a lot more on fantasy, tabletop, RPGs, and storytelling. Just pick a playlist you're interested in and enjoy some videos. See you in the next video.